Get ready for some jaw-dropping Karen encounters. From the grocery store Karen who hates vegan food to the infamous Karen neighbor causing chaos over snow piles, these stories will leave you speechless. And don't miss out on the last story. I got my Karen fired. Wait till you hear how Karen meets her match. Let's dive into the wild world of Karens getting owned. Grocery store Karen doesn't like vegan food. I was at my local grocery, large chain franchise, picking up some vegan beef patties for a barbecue I was throwing for the neighborhood. I really didn't know much about these products, but I wanted there to be options since I wasn't sure who would be attending. I had an open invitation posted in the neighborhood chat. I decided to just pick up 3 or 4 different brands of burger patties to be on the safe side. A blonde woman with shortish hair was walking past and noticed what I had in my cart. It would seem she took umbrage with my choices. "You should just eat meat if you're going to buy things that taste like meat," she said to me with scorn in her voice. "I do eat meat, I just want those who don't to feel welcome at my barbecue," I responded with as much sincerity as I could muster. What Karen and I had failed to notice in our conversation was the pack of service dogs gathering at both ends of the freezer aisle. We became aware very quickly though when they started closing in, growling menacingly. Immediately the Karen started shrieking for a manager. The officially invested pack was not impressed. In fact, I think her shrill voice only enraged the dogs. They all charged at once. I jumped into the freezer and slammed the door shut. Karen jumped up into my cart. She tore open a pack of burger patties and tried throwing them to the service dogs. After a sniff or two, I suppose the patties were not incredible enough, because the dogs rejected Karen's offering and commenced to jump up and pull her down from the cart. Meanwhile, I was crawling along the bottom rack of the freezers until I was well past the dogs. I was at the part with the frozen turkeys when I went to make good my getaway. I couldn't just leave the Karen to her fate, however, so I grabbed up a frozen turkey and bowled it down the aisle with the force of a thunderbolt. The frozen turkey struck the dogs as they were all grouped up in their attack on Karen, and it blew away about half of them. Somehow it made the same sound as a perfect strike at the bowling lane. The remainder of the dogs turned their attention toward me, their fur bristled in rage. While their backs were turned, Karen snatched a couple frozen tomahawk cut steaks from the freezer and began dual-wielding them against the dogs, all the while screaming her war cry of, "Do you know who I am?" After that I just ran from the scene and out of the store. I decided the local vegans would just have to make do with pasta salad this time. A few days later at the barbecue, I was shocked to see the very same Karen from the store perusing the food. I went to greet her and was met with, "Why aren't there any vegan options here? I'm going to sue you for not making this inclusive to mentally challenged. I'll update after the court hearing." My Karen neighbor. Let me tell you a story. Buckle up. Because honestly. So we had a crazy over-the-top super Karen of a neighbor at our old house. We lived on the corner. Now in our city in Canada where we can get up to 15 feet of snow in a winter. There is a bylaw to not pile it on the corner at all because of vehicles not being able to see. So unfortunately, the only legal place to put the snow was in the small grass space between our houses and a small spot, as long as it wasn't too high on the other side. Here is kind of a breakdown before I continue. Side A is between our houses. We lived in town row houses. I was on end. She was beside us. Side B is the side that legally we could maybe pile up 3 to 4 feet of snow and it would be okay. But any more than that, we couldn't. Karen didn't like that we piled most of our snow, even were nice sometimes, and did her driveway too, hoping that would help our situation for her to be more understanding. She never faking complained about us doing her driveway. But still complained about the middle. And oh. Did I mention SHE was allowed to put snow there? Karen expected us to go from side A and push it to side B. But didn't want us to take side B and push it to side A. She expected us to walk back to side A and push it back to side B when we would have ended up with fines either wise. We obviously and rightfully ignored her. She called the law on us. They came, of course, because they had to. She would call every snowfall. And finally, after the 4th one, the bylaw officer had enough of her beep and cited her with a $160 fine, her daughter told me. And then said sure I can pile it on the corner, at her request, but she must sign something saying she's at fault if there was an accident and she would be responsible for all complaints against the corner being too high and any fines that come with it. And that she could shovel the driveway if she was so concerned about the way things were. Man, I should start posting all my stories about this Karen. I've known her since I was 8 because I was friends with her daughter. But that's beside the point. Glad I don't have to deal with her anymore. I feel sorry for her new neighbors who are in my old house. If you're enjoying these stories, why not subscribe for more Karens Gone Wild and Am I the A-Hole stories? Karen gets what she deserves at Sam's Club. When I used to work at Sam's Club, I transferred over to the cafe thinking it would be easier flow over there. Man, was I wrong. I have so many stories. So, when we serve our churros, we put the oldest ones closest to us, so when I went up and did that, the oldest churro was at the very front. As soon I sent them in the glass case, a customer orders one, so I figured since they saw me put out the fresh ones, I should grab them the one furthest from us. Out of nowhere their grandma starts yelling at me, "Excuse me. You just put out fresh ones, we want a fresh one." So I simply replied, "Okay, but you don't have to yell, you can ask nice." She then responds, still yelling. I wasn't yelling, so I again reply, "Yes you were, you can be nice." One more time she argues she wasn't, while getting louder, so I said, "Okay, but I know you know how to be nice." She scoffs at me, and then I grab the churro closest to me and I give it to their grandkid. She turns them, still yelling. Was I yelling at her? And they just replied, "You're loud." So, to the lady that yelled at me, "I was grabbing you a fresh churro, but your grandma yelling at me and causing a scene caused you to walk away with the only old one in the batch. You're welcome." Pink lady stalked me and my family inside the grocery store. Finally encountered a Karen. Okay, I was out there touching grass at a certain branch of a big grocery store and was driving around the parking lot to find a space to park. We had a scuffle with someone on the parking space saying that they were there for hours already, and then we suddenly came by and got 2 parking spaces. We had 2 cars rolling in. There were only 3 spaces available, and one was at the far end of the parking lot. We did not think any of it and just got into the grocery store after telling them that there was a parking space at the far end. Got some carts, started taking things, ate some, yada yada yada, things you do in a grocery store that has a food court in it, and then suddenly a semicircular pink thing rolled over at my peripheral vision, 2 gremlins orbiting around and a not so amused husband. They were orbiting around the area, and for some reason I always see them at my peripheral like some kind of ninja or something, and then suddenly the kid that I was with, the kid of my cousin, took something out of the racks. It was just a small metal bowl, and me and the fam was aware of it. She was not being cooperative, so we just decided to buy it. This somehow triggered the pink lady to approach while the husband tugs her the other way. P.L. Hey, the kid took something, you are not gonna steal it, right? At that point I was jumping for joy on the inside cause. Finally my time has come. Me, we are going to buy that. Was a bit rude, but she actually got pinker when I said that. PL, no, put that back, if that thing gets thrown by the kid, it might break. I don't know whether she was talking about the metal bowl or the other things in the store, but with the arm strength of the kid, I highly doubt anything like that would happen, and we were far from the glass, brittle things section for any accidental breakage to happen. Then I got an idea. We had a 2-team effort on buying things, and the other team was already finished buying and was lining up. We were near the counter, so I just swooped in and asked to buy it immediately, then got back with it on hand. The pink lady was seething and was about to go ham on me. At that point, my cousin, who was the mother of the kid I was with, was a loudmouth, came into the fray and confronted the pink lady. "Cousin, oi, you mother beeper, that is a kid you are fighting with. Get out of my sight before I kick you." That was the first time I saw my cousin lose her shit. I left that because I did not want the kid to cry or see things escalate further. Well, it did not end there. For some freaking reason, their car was parked parallel to me and my cousin's car. So, due to that, we called security. Then they freaking towed their car. Well, not immediately. 30 minutes had gone by, and we heard the staff calling out the plate of that car, so that was the last resort. I asked the guard where the car was being towed to, and they said it was being towed to a police station. I also got info from my cousin's husband. The pink lady's husband apparently did not know that the car was parked behind us, cause the pink lady was the one driving, and asked if they could go and get to the store before her. I got my Karen fired. This story is from a few years ago, but I still chuckle when I think of it. So, quite a few years ago I worked for a large retail outlet as an early morning baker and customer assistant. My job was pretty simple, and I enjoyed it. Start at 4:30 a.m. getting the bakery sorted for opening time at 7 a.m. and then when that was finished, move on to other duties from loading up the stockroom, shelf stacking, assisting customers and helping on tills when needed while also making sure the bakery stayed stocked up with fresh goods, and I'd finish at 2 p.m. Pretty simple, and I enjoyed the work and got on well with the staff and management. All except one staff member, and her name really was Karen. Karen worked on the tills, and when I say worked, that's a vast overstatement. She did everything she could to do as little work as possible. She would vanish to the bathroom multiple times an hour to spend time on her phone, chat to customers until there was a queue around the entire store, and disappear for 10+ smoke breaks on her 5-hour shift when she was only entitled to one. Her daughter would come into the store as well and would steal frequently, and if we reported it, Karen would cover for her and claim it to be BS. But this wasn't the worst of it. Karen treated all the staff like they were beneath her and would order everyone around. Her job title was customer assistant, so she was as low in the pecking order as the rest of us. If she made a mistake, it was automatically someone else's fault. Queue a mile long on her till, she would put in a complaint that she was overworked. When brought up on her obscene amount of bathroom breaks, she would shift the attention to everyone else. When brought up on the amount of smoke breaks, stress and needing time to calm herself was her answer. But the worst part was the damn bell. The person on the till has a button to ring a bell to call for aid, and I swear most days, Karen treated that button like she was sending Morse code. The bell wasn't quiet either, it would give everyone a heart attack when it rang, and we all knew Karen loved making everyone run around for her. Especially me. She hated me because I stood up to her on multiple occasions and put in complaints about her to upper management, so she went out of her way to treat me like dirt. This went on for a little over a year until my manager promoted me to assistant manager over Karen. Karen had applied multiple times over the years and always been turned down. I didn't apply and yet got given the job, and she hated it. I spoke to the manager about making some changes and he agreed to my proposals and even laughed at my answer to some of the issues we'd had with Karen and agreed to look the other way. First port of call. That damn bell. On a late shift where Karen and I worked until closing with 4 other staff members. I made a display of grabbing a ladder, a bat and making sure Karen was watching as I smashed the till bell off the ceiling and proceeded to remove the wiring. She quickly asked what the hell I thought I was doing, and I explained that the store was going in a new direction with how it deals with staff, as she stood there red-faced and looking like she wanted to off me as I removed one of her precious and petty means of control. The following day when she came to work her shift on the tills, she found herself working alongside our newly appointed supervisor. Another staff member who'd grown tired of her crap. This meant Karen couldn't vanish at any time of her choosing to get out of doing her job and couldn't make the staff run around after her. By the end of her shift, she was spitting feathers and raging that it was unfair working conditions. I pointed out that the supervisor was there to help her, so she didn't get overloaded on the tills, and that was more than fair. It went on like this for 2 weeks, small changes that boosted morale for the staff, increased efficiency and just made it a better place to work, while at the same time, taking all of the power away from Karen that she thought she had over everyone. She lost her temper a lot in those 2 weeks. Badly when she lost her smoke breaks, except for her mid-shift one that lasts 10 minutes only. Really badly when I had a signal blocker installed in the bathroom so Karen could no longer use her multiple bathroom breaks as an excuse to troll through social media. But the worst temper rage was when the police turned up to escort her daughter from the premises for theft, slap her with a hefty fine, and she was banned from the store for life. That was the last straw for Karen. She marched straight to our general manager and tried to intimidate him, shouting full on in his face about workplace bullying and unfair working conditions. My manager pointed out to her that she had been bullying staff for years and that the only person who found the new rules unfair was her and the other staff members, and business has thrived since they'd been put into effect. She went full meltdown and trashed his office until the police were called and her, like her daughter, was escorted from the premises. She was fired on the spot and never seen again. My manager thanked me profusely because Karen had been railroading everyone for years and they had been unable to fire her. Thank you for joining us on this rollercoaster ride through the realm of Karens. We hope you've enjoyed these tales of justice served and karma striking back. If you have your own Karen stories or want to share your thoughts, feel free to drop a comment below. And remember, stay vigilant out there, because you never know when you might encounter the next Karen getting owned. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more captivating stories. Until next time, take care and keep an eye out for Karens.